Thanks for taking the time, and I know you're on set and everything, so really appreciate it. First I wanted to say your flow is considered one of hip-hop's greatest. And, so it evolved over time, never gotten stagnant. Even 88 Coops is a testament to that. So I wanted to know, musically, how do you stay so sharp, and how important do you see flow to being a great MC?
How important is flow?
Yeah, to being a great MC. Yep.
Yo, I'm glad you said that. That's why I asked you to say it again. To me, cadence is very important, because the cadence of a record is what makes the beat shine, or brings the beat out. Anybody can just go in and, we write rhymes all day. Anybody can just go in and say a rhyme they already wrote over a beat, but it doesn't always go together. When you're flowing and you got that, the best way I can describe it is Old Dirty Bastard in his heyday when he used to do his little songy cadence. Cadence is what gives us our identity. This is my new word for flow, cadence. It gives us our identities. Like everybody, like Nas, when Nas first came out, the way he flowed and everything, you knew it was Nas, and you knew a lot of niggas was biting his style. That's a fact. Tickety hey, hun, that's a flow. It's very important. It's very important to give you your own identity.
So how do you stay sharp with that? How do you keep your cadence sharp and stay in the pocket so well?
Got it right. Just got it right. I remember I spoke to Sean Price, and I was asking him, I was like, yo, it seems like you're having like a little writing renaissance right now. You hotter than you ever been. What's your secret? He said, I'm better than these niggas. It ain't no secret. It's fact. I'm better than these niggas. So I took that as my inspiration and said, you know what? Even if it ain't true, I'm going to tell myself that. I'm better than these niggas.
Trillmatic was one of my favorite songs in 2013, in large part because of your verse. And on that song you said, look at Meth Breaking Bad like he cooking meth in the lab. Is that around the time that you started formulating the concept for this album?
No, I was actually already working on it when I did that Trillmatic song. And that was actually the second verse that I wrote to the Trillmatic song, because I tried to do what I just told you about, something I had already written, tried to say that over it, and they called me out on it off top, and I respect them for even, keeping it 100. Like, nah, Meth, that's not the Meth we want right there. So I went back in and wrote that motherfucker over with a chip on my shoulder. I think I've always had a chip on my shoulder ever since, I don't know. It's not the majority, but there are a few individuals out there who feel like I'm the wackest one in my crew. I think it's just hating, really. But, when you hear stuff like that, you can get 1,000 great compliments, but you always remember that one plus one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally. So where do you think that chip on your shoulder comes from?
Probably because I was the only boy. I had two sisters, I didn't have any backup. I couldn't, I didn't have big brothers or a little brother to fight with me, Everything I got to do by myself. I don't know.
Okay.
I guess I'm sensitive and shit.
So I saw that in Breaking Bad you said that Walter White was your favorite character from a character standpoint, but it was Jesse from an actor standpoint, and that it would be an actor's dream to play that character. So I was wondering, as an actor, what do you think you would have brought differently to that character?
You know what? I'm not taking anything away from Aaron. Aaron did an excellent job. I don't think anybody could have brought what he brought to it, and that's the sole reason of my comment I made, because he had done such an excellent job that it's an actor's dream to have a part like that to just toy with so many different layers. You know what I mean? Everybody. I'm not saying anybody could have did that part, but that is definitely like the meat and potatoes of acting right there, man. You want parts like that.
Right. Okay. So, this new album is going to be your first solo work that's not affiliated with Def Jam. Does it feel any different to you in making the project?
Well, let's clear it up. It's not a solo project. But mark my words, when I do drop a Method Man, exclusive Method Man album, and it be mostly just Method Man on the album, like my past one, you know? This one here only has one solo Method Man joint on it. The rest are songs that I did in conjunction with other artists from Staten Island and a couple of artists that aren't from Staten Island that I admire in a big fucking way. Uncle Murder, who they haven't brought up in any of the goddamn earlier interviews. Uncle Murder murdered his verse. Predatory Guns destroyed his verse on there. So I just want to put that out there so these brothers, so at least people know that, you know, I could have had a million guest appearances on there, and I only chose those two because I needed room to rep Staten Island to the fullest. You know, the rest of those spots were taken up by Staten Island artists that I believe I'd be disappointed in listening to.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I saw that, and, you know, I think that's really dope to put on artists like that, you know, now that you're more established. And I was wondering if there was someone who, you know, kind of looked out for you in that same way when you were first coming out.
Yeah, Wisdom. But I wasn't doing it to make money.
Yeah.
Honestly. I was still doing it for the fun. I mean, call me stupid, naive, whatever. I had a one-track mind, and my one-track mind was I love doing music. I love writing rhymes. I love the reaction I get when I say a dope one. You know? So, I mean, listen. Definitely Wisdom.
Okay. And Uncle Murder, so what was it about those two guys, Uncle Murder and Corey Guns, that made you say, you know, I have to get them on the album too?
It wasn't nothing at first. It was more or less like, what about Uncle Murder? Well, yeah, fuck it. I like Murder. Murder spit. What about Corey Guns? Oh, shit, yeah, I like Corey Guns. That motherfucker spit.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got those two in the can, there were a few other people. I won't mention any names, but I was more or less like, nah, it doesn't fit the project. Plus, I want to save certain people I want to save for my last solo album.
Right, okay. So, you know, I'm glad you cleared that up about, you know, the project, because there's been a lot of confusion out there, you know, as to whether this album was the same project as, you know, the Crystal Meth project you've talked about in the past. Are those two separate projects, or has Crystal Meth involved in it? Okay, cool.
Two separate projects. Meth Lab is a precursor to Crystal Meth.
Okay.
You know, it would be incredibly naive of me to think that people are still checking for me the way they checked for me in the 90s. So I have to honestly approach this like a new artist would and drop songs, get people familiar with me again, or to remind people that I don't know how to rhyme, you know, and then once the buzz is going, then you drop the album, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, man, with our fan base, when that trailer came out, it set things on fire. Like, literally 300,000 people, like, in a day, you know, have circulated that comment just because the excitement was just, you know, just incredible.
A brother like me, not to cut you off, but a brother like me needs to hear shit like that, because obviously we sit in our own little worlds, and we only get most of the negative feedback back. So, you know, a brother will sit back and be like, I don't know if I want to do this now, and nobody out there really checking for it or checking for me, when that's not even the case. The case is that they haven't seen you. You haven't been staying active enough for people to see you. And then there's the whole stereotype about old rappers and shit like that. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? I honestly get it, because when I was in it, I was having fun. That's why I can't knock these young artists for doing what they're doing now. They're having fun. Leave them the fuck alone and let them have fucking fun. You can't be knocking what they do. The music sucks. All these niggas dress like this. Are they doing that? Who give a fuck, man? You had your fun. Move the fuck on, you old fogey. You sound like our fucking parents talking all that shit. Pull your pants out.
You know, it's interesting, though, because when you were coming up at first, you know, rap was only like 15 years old or so, but now it's like a 40-year-old genre. And, you know, like rock and roll and jazz and, you know, other things, you know, people grow up, you know, the subject matter is different. You know, you got grown man rap now, you know. So, you know, how do you think your subject matter's changed over time?
I suggested doing the dope contemporary hip-hop. We should have a category for it. But, of course, everything's changed for me. I can't talk about the same shit I used to talk about. I mean, I barely talk about smoking weed all the fucking time anymore and shit, because I don't smoke weed all the fucking time. You know, it gets to a point where you just got to keep it 100 with your core audience, and they know it when they feel it, and it's fire that comes from within yourself that says, you know what, that shit just ain't interesting to me no more. I don't want to play PlayStation 4 games anymore. I want to build cars. So now you're talking about building cars as opposed to playing PlayStation 4 games. You know? I don't know if that answers the question, but that's the best analogy I can get.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things you said, I think, you know, just being authentic, I think that cuts through no matter what you're talking about, and that's the kind of thing that, like, stands over time. You know, for example, we just did a piece celebrating the 20-year anniversary of I'll Be There For You, You're All I Need to Get By. And we talked about the timeless qualities of that song. You know, it was a statement on black love and togetherness and family. And, you know, it still did you think it was still going to resonate 20 years later when you did it?
Nah, because I didn't write it for that. The person I wrote it for knew what it was for, and we're still together, so I guess it was. I don't know. I mean, you get in the business, you don't think about tomorrow, you're just thinking about today, you know, and what you can do today until it gets to a point where you look up and you're like, Jesus Christ, 22 years? I would have never thought. What, in a big 5 years?
Right. You know, what do you think it is about you then that allows you to stick around that long? Because, you know, that's a good point. You know, not many people can. So what is it about you that has allowed you to be...
I got 9 other niggas around me that say I'm dope. That's what I think it's strength in numbers, most definitely. And I attribute a lot of my success, whether they wrote a rhyme or just showed up to the studio and didn't do shit, to my crew, Wu-Tang. My success, I attribute that to my brothers, all of them, not just RZA, all of them, because they all played a part in the man I am today.
So, you know, on the last album, on 421 album, Say was a really bold statement, and I thought it was dope that you put that record out. And I wondered if you thought that some of the issues that you addressed, you know, regarding media coverage and treatment of artists had changed, you know, or, you know, gotten any better since then.
Not really. I mean, you know what? But I've learned that, you know, there's a difference between a seasoned artist, I don't want to say old, a seasoned MC, as opposed to a 5-year guy who's been in it for about 5 years and maybe less. No, I think honestly, it's still the same in a sense, but the players have changed. I'm just a little bit more tolerant. I'm not biting my tongue to no fucking body, because when I wrote that, a lot of that shit was going on and probably still is going on, you know. For every Jay-Z, there's a MF Doom out there, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A dude that doesn't have access to everything, but he's just as dope. You know, me being an older artist, I know you can't do and say certain shit, because you'll get not only sabotage yourself, but you'll have people not wanting to be around you. You know what I mean? Because you bring that kind of energy. If you're young, you get away with so much shit because ignorance is bliss. It's like you don't have to care. You're just there to fucking serve your purpose at that point in time, whatever that freaking purpose is. Man. I just like the energy that they put into the business side of it now that has the industry scratching their fucking heads, because it's a young man's sport. They They say what's cool and what isn't, man.
Yeah, but that's what makes Trillmatic so interesting, right? Because you got a young crew that in a lot of ways has parallels to you guys when you started, and they reach out to you as that veteran to get on the record, to kind of close the circle, to complete the circle.
For the idea that they had, it was perfect for them to reach out to anybody from that era that had an impact. I'm just happy that they had called me. I think Rocky was supposed to be on it originally. I don't know what happened with that, but I've been, not saying Rocky did that, but I've been shunned, so to speak, as a shotter, someone who doesn't take time out to write the bombs. And I admit there was a time where I had obligations to do a Red Meth album, a Wu-Tang album, as well as my own project, and I had to get those projects done. So there was a lot of quick writing and shit like that. But now that I have more time to write, and that's when it stopped being fun. But later on in life, now that I have time to write, it's a lot more fun. And in the immortal words of Sean Price, I'm better than the majority of these motherfuckers out here.
We did a competition, because the great debate in hip hop is always who's the greatest MC, and we wanted to open it up to the people and to a real group of true heads to kind of talk about who they loved. And it's interesting that you mentioned Jay and Doom, because Doom emerged victorious, and I think it's kind of a statement to just the depth of our readership. And that's not a knock on Jay, because one of my favorite MCs of all time, the whole nine. But I think it speaks volumes that cats recognize true warriors like Doom, like Sean P, people like that on the site.
Well, I've always been that kind of dude and shit, and they're not even underdogs to me. They're like the unseen, unheard MCs that I used to sit next to the radio on Friday and Saturday and flip back and forth between Mr. Magic and Marty Mall to Red Alert and the youngest DJ in charge, Pete Rock. So, and these were dudes that weren't heard on the radio. Their only slot was that Friday slot when Mr. Magic and Molly Mall was on, or that Saturday slot when Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out were in effect, So I've always gravitated to those dudes because I always felt like they were hungrier than the established artists. My thing that I don't like that people do with, let's say, a Jay-Z is they try and put all this shit on him like he's supposed to be responsible for everything that happens in the black community, which is so fucking wrong, because there's plenty of black people, affluent black people, who never get the finger pointed at them or blamed for anything. People that have moved out of the ghetto and never came back, never contributed, never even gave advice on how to get the fuck out of the hood. Jay, on the other hand, and I know I sound like a Jay-Z advocate right now, but I just read some shit where people are trying to tear him down. I think he's a genuine dude. I think he's a very smart dude. But he don't owe y'all black asses shit. I've been on the side of you a loser and chicks not wanting to holler and you can't even borrow $1 from your man and shit like that. I've been on the other side of that and shit. So they kick you when you're down and they kick you when you're up. So,
Jay, often says he's the Michael Jordan of recording. And, Mike got some of that flack back in the 90s, too, you probably recall. But, the funny thing is, a lot of those cats on the low are doing things. They're just not shouting about it, So, basically, it's not for anyone to judge what someone's activities are, because most people don't know what they're doing anyway,
I know, but we live in a copy-paste, click-send, post era. And people was real fucking, bold, man.
Yeah.
So bold behind those keyboards and shit. And I, who I respect? I respect the people that state their opinion, not in a malicious manner, where it's you know, you can see the point they're trying to make. Not the person that gets on there and be like, you know, oh, her feet too goddamn big, or why she had to wear that belt and shit like who the fuck cares about shit like that?
Yeah.
Who the fuck really cares about shit like do they build us up to tear us down? Because that's what it's starting to feel like. And media's taking on. This is why I have a problem with doing interviews and shit. But media tends to, and not everyone. You know, there are great media outlets that, you know, they just stick with the facts and they give you great articles and they don't ask you the same questions over and over again. But then there's those people that try to make a story out of a story. You know what I mean? It's that, I won't say her name, but it's like those tabloid TV women that, you know, constantly talk about other people's business because they don't have any of their own. Without it, they wouldn't be that fucking interesting. And
yeah,
I think that the news is running with, I mean, you look back when the priests were touching kids. Before that, had you heard anything like that before? No. But all of a sudden, every week, they was catching a new priest touching a kid. The teacher sleeping with the students. I mean, I've heard of it before, but in this new age of media, every week a new teacher was up there touching a fucking student. It's like, where are you guys searching up underneath rocks for this shit? And I knew once they showed the footage of the cop, the police brutality and shit like that, in this new age, I knew every week we were going to be hearing about another cop doing, which I didn't think was fair at all. And trust me, I'm from the hood. There was a lot of times where I was like, fuck the police myself. But I don't like bullies and I don't like propaganda. So if every week I'm seeing a cop fucking, you've been seeing it, we've known this shit for years. But they're starting to show it every week, not cop did this or cop did that. Cop. I don't think that shit is fucking fair. Just because you want people to watch your fucking lame-ass news channel. I don't think it's fair at all. You know, and I'm not siding with anyone, cops or robbers or whoever and shit. I've got my ass kicked before by police. I've been lied on by police. But I've got my ass kicked by niggas, too, and lied on by niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What we need to do is have a median where everybody can sit down and talk to each other so they can understand each other, because both sides are being run by fear.
Given all that, man, it sounds like you got a say part two in you, because you got a lot more game to give on it and different perspective now too. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, if you don't learn nothing while you in it and shit, you gonna make the same fucking mistake. I think I learned some things. I had great people around me and shit, you know.
Yeah. So I know you got to run, man. So I just got one last question for you. Just bringing it back to the Meth Lab. There's a new song that starts playing at the end of the video with different footage. Can you give any details about that song and kind of what to expect from it?
Yeah, that's a song called Straight Gutter. We couldn't get the clearance for it. But, I mean, it's I don't know about that clearance shit and who's in charge of that or how they do it. Because, honestly, if an artist wants to sample something I did, I feel like go the fuck ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're not degrading me or my people, go the fuck head on and fucking do it. You know? And shit. But now it's like we couldn't get the clearance for the sample for that record. But I've seen that. I've heard that record. I've heard people use it in movies and all different other kinds. Why, when it gets to hip-hop, y'all want to be, you know, your moral code steps up and shit. Now you don't want nobody from, I guess they don't want rappers using their music and shit, which I think is fucked up because it is a form of music. And even if you don't respect it, there's millions upon millions of people that actually fucking do, man. And they're killing us with that shit. They're actually killing us with it.
And it brings shine, too, you know? It brings shine to their music.
Because there's some fucking group, there's some fucking hardcore rock group and shit redid Bring the Pain. Redid it, but the rock version of it. And there's people out there that say that they like that version better than my shit. But you don't see me complaining. You don't see me going, calling my publishing people like, fire these dudes and sue them. Like, nah, fuck it. I think they fucked my record up, but what am I going to do? They're artists, they're musicians. Let them, it's music. It's free. It's for the people. Let them fucking run with it. I'm not going to pull out my fucking pen and write the label and tell them if you don't cease and desist and all this shit. I want millions of dollars for a record that when I dropped it didn't even make 2 cents. You know what I mean? The shit is not fucking fair. And they don't do that they just did it to Robin Thicke. But that was Marvin Gaye, and that was a straight. I won't even speak on that. But usually with hip-hop artists, they would be trying to rook us, like just squeeze every little fucking penny out of us, man. You know, I don't own a penny of all I need.
I understand.
They took 100% publishing. I'm not going to say who because I still love them as artists. Mm-hmm. You know, they've had some hits back in the days, but that wasn't fair. How you going to take 100% publishing?
Yeah.
Like, really? For real? Like, just don't let me do the record at all. Forget the record. Say no. But to take 100% publishing, that's foul.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
And I don't think they would have did that shit if it was Marvin Gaye or Diana Ross or Beyonce. I don't think they would have did that shit to Beyonce. They wouldn't have took 100% of that fucking publishing from her. But since it's a rapper, I mean, I don't even think they even listen to the fucking song. You know, because if you listen to the song, you even said yourself, transcended what hood love is like. You know, it wasn't soft. It wasn't too soft for dudes, and it wasn't too hard for the ladies.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, like you said, for the people, ultimately that record, like, still, I know you got the short end, but, you know, you gave the people a gift that endures, you know.
Yeah. I'm not really worried about it, but when I see commercials and shit using it or it's done in used in movies, and I don't get a fucking dime off of it, you know.
Yeah. I get
that. Blood, sweated, and teared. I mean, that fucking song meant a lot to me when I wrote it and shit, you know. And I forget the lessons sang on it beforehand, but what it meant to me. And they should have fucking felt great that a record that they wrote fucking inspired me to even write something with something not tearing women down, but bigging them up as our wives and our rocks in our lives and shit like that, and they go take 100% of the fucking publishing.
Yeah.
So, but don't get me wrong, like I said, I still love them as artists. Like if I seen them tomorrow, I'd probably want to take a flick with them and tell them how great they were. But one of its asshole moves straight up and down.
Yeah, that's the business side. Yeah. Man, go ahead.
I think that's fair. Do you think that's fair? I mean, that's the shit.
Not at all. I mean,
people will be like, "Oh my God, Beyonce wants to sing my record. Go ahead, girlfriend, you sing that record, baby." And they will. They probably take some of the publishing, but they're not taking 100 fucking %. That's just.
When you break it down, they're discounting everything you did on the record, right? I mean, your entire verses, you know, everything, you know, clearly it's not 100%, you know, so. I mean, that did happen. That did happen to, you remember the group The Verve? They had a song called Bittersweet Symphony. The Rolling Stones took 100% of their publishing too, but, you know, I haven't heard of that happen too many times, you know.
Wow.
I don't see it as fair either.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But did they do word? Did the Verve do like word for word, every word? They remade the whole record, right?
They did nothing, dude. All they did was, you know, the violins in the beginning, you know, that the violin sample they used, that's all they used.
Yeah.
Everything else was original. The words, everything.
This is the shit that I'm talking about, man. And that group that I was telling you about that they bring the pain over, that said every fucking word to the record and on their record. Never been sued.
Wow.
One thing I want to inquire about, though, before we go is the 88 Coops record, right?
Yeah.
What's one thing that you noticed on there?
Yeah, one thing that you noticed.
I mean, a pretty vague question, but what I'm trying to get at is, what didn't you hear on the record? No curse words.
You know, it's so crazy. I didn't even notice that, you know, but
no, that's how I write them now. I haven't been cursing
crazy.
in my rhymes since. I haven't cursed in my rhymes since Wu Massacre.
That's crazy.
So if you hear a curse in a rhyme, just know that rhyme must have been before Wu Massacre. I don't curse. Listen to the whole Wu album. Better Tomorrow. Not one curse word.
Wow. So why did you try to go in that direction?
I just want to separate myself from the pack, for one, and for two, I challenged myself to see if I could do it because I was writing for somebody and they didn't want any curse words in the record. So I was saying, you know what, maybe let's see if I could write something hard without putting curse words in it, and then don't tell nobody and see if they notice.
So yeah, I appreciate you and everything you're giving to the culture, man, and I guarantee you, like, your fan base is incredibly strong, dude. So we all thank you.
I appreciate that, bro.
All right, man.
Peace.
Peace.